Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Scenius Hub, Youth Hub for Innovation, Technology, and Entrepreneurship. This is an evening week. It's a program that focuses on bringing thought leaders to come and discuss with us their ideas and also very pertinent issues regarding the youth in this country. I'm delighted to have Father James Oyet, who is coming to discuss with us the impact of the ecumenical visit of His Holiness Pope Francis on the youth in South Sudan. It's quite of a big title. We cover a wide range of topics. So, Father, you're welcome to Scenius Hub.
Thank you very much, all my friends, the youth gathered here.
So, as I stated earlier on, my name is Nelson Kwaje, and I'm part of the co-founding. We will probably go and talk about the visit of the Pope later on, but I wanted to start just by introducing yourself. Who are you, and what you do for the benefit of the youth here?
Thank you very much. I am Father James Oyet Latansio. I don't work, I serve as the General Secretary of the South Sudan Council of Churches. It's an ecumenical body of member churches in South Sudan, and these member churches are 7, and we have 3 affiliates. The affiliates are those who have applied to join. But in the year 2022, we have received about 22 churches who have applied. They want to become members of the South Sudan Council of Churches. Actually, we are an ecumenical body, and these member churches, most of you know, or maybe you belong to, we have the Catholic Church, who is a member of the Council of Churches in South Sudan. We have got the Episcopal Church of South Sudan. We have the Presbyterian Church of South Sudan. We have the South Sudan Presbyterian Evangelical Church. Then we have the Africa Inland Church. Then we have the Sudan Pentecostal Church. And also we have the last Sudan Interior Church. And those who have applied to become members, we call them affiliates, are 3. One is Sudan Reformed Church. It forms part of the Reformed Communion. And then we have also the South Sudan and Sudan Lutheran Evangelical Church. And the last one is the Christian Brotherhood Church. These are the members who have applied to become. Next General Assembly, they'll become full members of the council. We work with the youth. We have got a youth office in the council. It's being led by a young lady called Arek Francis Malek. Most of you should know her. She's very dynamic, very enthusiastic. And we try to listen to the messages from the youth, you know. The youth today are the potentials of the future of any country. Youth are the strength and the way forward of any country. If you don't have youth, you don't look forward, you only look backwards. And we have many youth. The population of the country of South Sudan, about 75% are youth, you know. Depends how you define youth. But those who from 18 to 25, they are about 75%. Although the context of understanding of youth goes to 30 in South Sudan, but what matters is that the youth are a very strong force in this country. And being a strong force in this country, we elders use them a lot. We use them for the good, and we use them also for the bad things. We use them for violence. We use them for attacks. We use the youth as our bodyguards, to kick others. We use to abuse. If you want to attain what you want, call a youth and take him for dinner, for some tea. We'll go and implement. So they are very
They'll go to
open.
social media and
You can see, you guys have the .com, on the social media. Those who are fighting there on social media, they are youth. So I appeal to the youth. It's the youth who are with the answer. Language of the youth, an elder can't speak a language of the youth. A youth speaks their own language. And today they have gone even more by calling some youth neggers. I don't know why. All these children are born by parents, and their parents should be around. However, this is the context they throw youth to. So we try to listen to the narrative of the youth, try to understand what are the concerns of the youth. Many youth have given up. They have given up. They have given up hope. They have just thrown themselves. Said, "What is it? What do I need to do? What future do I? Oh, even if I'm holding a master's degree, or a bachelor's degree, or a PhD, nobody will employ me because I belong to a youth from a particular ethnic group." So many people have given up. Many youth have given up. But I want to encourage you, the youth. Employment does not mean being employed in an institution or government and so on. You can self-employ yourself by creating opportunities like the entrepreneurship. You create things in yourself and see how it can be supported. But if you don't support yourself, don't think that somebody else will come and support you. If you don't help yourself, don't think somebody else will come and help you. You create a possibility for yourself. You create a thinking for yourself. But if you only wait, then they use you for all the chaos that we have. In South Sudan, who are those who are implementers of all this chaos? They are the youth. I've been to all corners of South Sudan. When you go to Tombra, the chaos in Tombra, most of our brothers and sisters, the youth are the implementers. You go to what's happening in Upper Nile, they call them Jesh Abiyat. You heard of it?
White Army.
White Army.
Yeah.
White Army. These are all youth. They are not elders. They are youth. Because they know these youth have no background. They don't look back. They don't have family to disturb their mind, but they only disturb the feelings of their parents. They go for all these things. You go even to other parts. You have got the youth in the Murle area, youth in Central Equatoria. When you go to Eastern Equatoria, what they call Monyomiji. These are youth. These are youth. And these youth are at times, either use or they use themselves for the negativity of the situation. Yeah. So youth are a strong potential. Youth can make a change in the society. Youth can even make a U-turn to the life of the society. But if the youth waits that somebody else should turn him or her, my dear, things fall apart.
So,
Nelson?
thank you so much. That's kind of a very good view into youth in this country. I'll start to talk about yourself a bit, then I'll come into the Council of Churches, and I'll talk about the visit of the Pope. Tell us a little bit about yourself for the benefit of the youth here. Where did you grow up? Have you always wanted to get into this church thing?
Okay, thank you. As for myself, I was born in a place called Ye, to a mother from the Keliko clan of Lojulo, and to a father from the Paitenge clan of Pajok in Magui County. They would say I'm an Acholi, okay? But I speak Acholi, I speak the language of my mother, and all those languages within Ye there. We pick it. And I went to school first because I was born during the war. I was born in war, so I grew in war. I'm working now still in war. I started my primary school in a place in Uganda called Soroti. Soroti in central Uganda. The district is called Teso district. And we started my primary school there in a Muslim school, Soroti Muslim School. That was where I started my primary education. Then when in 72, when the agreement was signed in Addis Ababa, my parents came back from Uganda. We were repatriated from Soroti back to Juba, who were dropped in Gumbo, what you call Sherikat today. That was a reception center. And then my father was sent back to his place to work in Yei. He was working with the council. He was what they call Bashkatib, the clerk, town clerk in Yei there. So we went back to Yei. Then we have to, in those schools were limited. So I joined what they call Lutaya Primary School, those who come from Yei. And when I did my primary there, then later, because it was the only English school, then they had to divide the school, the students. So in the division, I fell in the slot of Yei Primary School, Yei 2. I was brought in the mission. If those who have gone to Yei, where the Episcopal Church of South Sudan Yei is, the diocese, who are brought there to Yei 2, and then some left in Lutaya. So we went on, we had only 6 classes, primary 1 to 6. Then we set for primary living to go to intermediate. It's not the same school education we have today here. So after I went to intermediate, I went to Torit.
But then there were like few big schools, Torit, or like where you go for the intermediate, or?
Yes, you guys are in the chaos today. In our time, you only sit for the primary living. The intake takes you where it takes. The intake took me to Torit. And some of my colleagues were taken to Kwajok in Warab State.
How do you go there? Like when you say like the intake takes you to Torit, like you just pick your things and you go?
You pick the intake, that's why there's a long way to go with you people. Because the intakes, when you sit for an exam, there's a form that you fill where you feel if you pass and you do well, you feel you want to go and study, you want to be admitted. We filled this form, and my form fell for Torit. And others went to Kwajok, others went to Maridi, others went to Bor, Malakal. We are scattered. You find a Dink, a Jeng from Bargazal in Torit. You find a Lotuko from Torit in Malakal. You find a Dinka from Bor in Yei. We are just scattered so that we know each other. That's why today, our group, we know each other. We know each other. We interconnect very well with each other. So I was taken to Torit. And then from there, when we set for intermediate exams, the intake took me to Wow. To Nazareth, and then Nazareth was the part of it, but we were more part of Busere Secondary School. Those who have been to Wow, Bargazal. So I was in Nazareth, but part of Busere Secondary School, where we set for our senior 3, not senior 4 as today. Senior 3 living, Sudan School Certificate, they call it so. So from there, when we set, instead of going to the university, I opted to go to the Major Seminary.
When has Catholic teaching, has it been in the family, or that's something you thought of?
My family is a Catholic family, and then in Yei, I started feeling. Now you're asking me vocation because you ask education.
Yeah.
So when you finish the education part, then I give you the vocational part. Okay. Then when I set for the Sudan School Certificate, I went, instead of going to Juba University or Khartoum University or other universities in Khartoum there, because those years we had only Juba, the famous university for us was Juba, which was in Juba, and then Khartoum, which was in Khartoum. But we had Medeni, we had El Obeid, with other things. Some people were taken there. So we opted to go to the Major Seminary because I felt that I was being called to the priesthood. So we went to the Major Seminary for our formation until we finished our formation. I finished my formation in Munuki, St. Paul's. They call it High Seminary at times.
Yes.
Yeah. That place, when we were there was nobody around us. To go from Juba to there was a journey. If you have to go to the seminary from Malakia, from Atlabara, or from Nyokuron, what you call Nyokuron, it was a challenge, a distance. So we finished there until when I finished my formation, then I was ordained a priest. My vocation, I started feeling the call of the Lord from Yei because usually we go to church to pray. Church, if you've been Christ the King, it was not there when I went to we started going. The main church was in Lutaya. So Father Peter created a chapel in Yei town, Peter Dada, who was my parish priest, who sent me to the seminary. So we started saying, I want to become like him also, as a young man. I want to become like this. Because he was a very holy man, a developmental man, a man of development, a man of, he doesn't wait the support from what they call the subsidy from the church. He does it. He had gardens, agricultural farms in Lutaya, around Yei, even in Christ the King area, up to the river Yei. So his style of life, his prayer life, motivated me to feel that maybe the Lord is calling me. And you cannot rule immediately that the Lord is calling you at the start. You need to go through a journey. So in that process, when I go for holidays to Yei, we go every day to the church to be closer to him, to discover whether is it true that God is calling me or not. So as the time passed, and as I went to the major seminary, then I felt that truly the Lord is calling me. I said, yes, Lord, you have called me. Here I am. Today I will. And this conclusion happened, came to an end when I was ordained in Qatar on the 18th of December, 1988.
And Father, I know you read that. Have you done anything that is before the Lord called you? Have you been
girlfriends?
Have you have you done anything that you would think like, I'm out of the way, or you are just?
I can call them by names. They are all big people here in Juba. These are our girlfriends. We call them our files, But we had girlfriends we engage because you are part of the human life. You are not cut from a tree, We are not cut from a tree. You are part of the society in which you live. So we have, in my class, in the primary, we have only 4 girls. But as we went, we met a lot, We met a lot. Some of them are ministers here today. Some of them are MPs in the parliament. Some of them are working with the UN. These people we live with, and my girlfriend got married to somebody, so I missed her.
but you're like, you know what? I have the Lord.
I did not hate her. I even did not hate the husband, because calls, and I support them even, when I get position, I support them because I believe that institution of marriage is very sacred, and we need to support it.
Is it too hard, like that call? Is it something that anyone can do, or do you feel that it's a very huge task at the start?
You need to go through formation. It's not easy. In any type call in life, whether to marriage life, whether to priestly life, whether to other religious life, you need a commitment. You need to feel that truly the Lord is calling you. Even in a marriage life, if you don't feel that the Lord has called you, that marriage will not last by day. It will be shatter. You always think, like what Museveni says, you want to think for another woman to replace your wife, what they call second dish. Museveni calls it so. So when you have all this negative way of feelings of thinking, of course, my dear friends, my dear youth, you'll not make it. Everything is a call. If you don't get committed in your marriage life, if you don't get committed in your social life, you don't committed in yourself, you cannot make it. You cannot make it. So everything needs seriousness and commitment.
And that kind of brings me back to your journey now. So you start as a priest. How does from that time, how does the journey take you until you come and lead this reputable institution in this country?
Well, I worked during the war. When I was already in 1988, that was in the heart of the war. In those years, we were being shelled, something the bomb from the side of the east, it comes and falls in the town. Worked in that context, and we were present to the people. I was present also to the people. I was in charge of the displaced all over Juba, and in Tomping, these were what you call famous Jumanabari Tomping today. Those are displaced camps. We divided. If you go, you get some water hand pumps there. I made it there. And then I had another camp in Jebel, from where the Trojan petrol station, or before there's the ICRC stores there. All those I put people there according to their where they come from, and then I put some people who came from across the Nile, from the east. I put them in Lologo, where there's a formation house of the prisons there. There's a prison place there. So I worked in the war. So even working in the war, trying to create space for education for the youth, for the children, and most of the even rounding up children whom they call street boys. Today you guys are leaving them hanging there. But in those years, during the war, when I never left them. I rounded all. No child was in the street. If you run away from home, I will pick you. And we kept them. If you go from here, there is a Royal Palace Hotel.
Yeah.
You know? Royal Palace Hotel. There was a space of the church there, so we made a shelter there for these street children. And those who are from the age of 10 onwards, we kept them here. But those who are too small, if you see today in the street, there are many small children, no? So those, I took them to Kuwait. There's a house of St. Kizito in Kuwait. So we have to bring some young mothers, those who can manage children, to take care. We did not have the UNICEF principles. We just take care of children collected from the streets. So, and most of them, I see they are big people today. One is a minister in Central Equatoria.
Wow.
Yeah. He was one of my street boys. And another is a bishop in the Catholic Church. Yeah. So we try to round up. So based on that, we worked within this context, created space for education, created space for children who run away from home, and also giving hope for the displaced. And it cost me a lot. It cost me a lot. Today I don't work well because of the cost I have to pay. I was taking food supply and educational supplies to the direction of Rokon, Rokon, west of Juba. So around Somba, I don't know whether you know Somba, before Nyamini, those who go west of Juba, my car went on a landmine. So it destroyed my left leg. It destroyed my left leg, and I stayed in the hospital of Juba for 1 year, lying like this with leg hanging up. And then there was no anesthetic in the hospital that time. So in order to put right, the bone was out. The bone was out, so they have to operate without anesthetic. Yeah, to get better. Tears was coming from the eyes, but no way. That was the reality. So Did
you not think like, okay, this priest thing, too much?
What came to mind, I said, Lord, I was going there to serve your people. Why did you put that in mind? Yeah? It brought some doubts, but I said, in anything, in any process in life, there's always pain by there. You don't just walk like that easily. So there's pain, there's challenges, it's not that you get immediately. So I paid that price. And then the most difficult thing was when this young man, it was a youth by there, he was around 18 years old, that guy. He was a militia, you know what a militia? These volunteers. So he was able to put the landmine there just because there was a time when I took the school materials and food, he took from one side, and then his name was also the other side. Then the person in charge came and said, Father, this guy has got two names. His name is there, his name is here. Then I said, my brother, you take one, because there are others like you who also need. He got annoyed. He accepted, but he got annoyed. So with that anger, he went and put the landmine, knowing that I was passing. And sometimes I hit the landmine, so I had to pay that price. And he came, can you imagine, he came and he told me in the hospital when I was suffering with the leg hanging that he was the one who put the landmine on the road there, and then he needs me that I should forgive him. Then I said, okay, forgiveness is there, but why do you come and tell me when I'm still with the leg hanging up? Couldn't wait for another time. It was difficult to forgive by the, it's not simple. But I took the courage. I said, if I know now that he was the one who did it, and I remain bitter in myself, but the bitterness will be done wearing me off. So I said, no, I want to liberate myself from this pain. I want to free myself from this bitterness of holding this boy, but that time was not married, holding him a hostage in my heart. Holding him a hostage, it will just derail me. It will not make me to cure. It will not make me to cure even the wounds on the leg. So I called him. He came with his mother and father. I said, my brother, I don't hold anything with you. It has happened. This part of life. I forgive you. So then the boy did not believe that I forgave him. I confirmed that I forgave him by supporting him in the school.
You supported him in the school after that?
Yes. I supported him in the school. So that it demonstrated that I never held something.
You could have supported him in prison.
No. When he came, he knelt down. It was a war time. The justice bid of the process was there. Thank God he came to tell me. So he could have kept silent there, and that was it.
What do you think led him to come?
What thing led him to come was that that road, nobody was going there. It was me always who go there with support for the people. And as I go there to support the people, I moved on the way. And when I was in the hospital for that year, nobody was going there. And the people moved away. All the people came to the town because nobody was taking support to them. The schools which were there were closed because the school materials I was taking were not there. That's why he felt then, and he told some of his parents and he told some of his friends that I need to go because if today people are going away from the villages, from this road, it's because I did it. That's why he came. And then I said, I don't hold you in my heart, my brother, because I want to get cured. Because, if you are not psychologically settled in your mind, even your malaria will not go away. If you are not psychologically settled, the wounds in your body will go away. So I don't want to hold myself a prisoner and holding grudges to this boy who have caused me pain. So my option was to forgive him and let him free. And to confirm that freedom, I support him in the school so that he studies, so that he becomes a witness to not do bad things again. This is what I tried to do.
Thank you for that. This kind of message, this living leadership through doing, like doing, demonstrating your life. Do you think that is something that is still there? Is it evident now in our day? Or it has faded a bit.
But today in South Sudan, we have got people who are of 05 and we have got people who come from Sudan. Do you know what's 05?
These are the people who returned from
Those
Uganda.
who returned from the neighboring countries of the south of the country. Uganda, Kenya, and maybe Rwanda or Tanzania. These are 05s. And those who have remained inside here and went to the camps of Khartoum, those who are confused also. And then what's today, this spirit of doing, everything. If someone wants to do something, you need to pay him. There's not that voluntary spirit. There's not that sense of doing. Like for me, as I work in the council, I don't expect that the council should pay me. Because when I was called to serve in the council, I was called to do some reforms in the council. Because the council at that time was in turmoil, things were not going well, no accountability, things were not transparent, and all partners abandoned the council. And then I was called to come and do transformation and change things in the council. And then I never expected that the council which is poor, the council which did not have anything, the council which is trying to get its credibility, I should get something from them. I was satisfied with the subsidy from my church. What is subsidy? A subsidy is a support the Catholic Church gives to its priest. They give for food, they give subsidy for food, they give, not health insurance, they give something to buy medicine if you've got malaria, or to go to what we call it subsidy. I'm satisfied with that. That was what I was getting, and I've been getting it. So I don't want to charge the council to pay me for what I was doing. Today, such spirit is missing, you know. We in South Sudan, nothing is left unpaid. The spirit of giving, you know, is not there. And most of our youth have also taken this spirit by the. You go to these government institutions, you know, you get somebody there, he doesn't give his time or her time fully. And then if he gives just sitting in the office or doing something, and there's always a payback, you know, there's always a payback. So the sense of reaching out, the sense of responding, the sense of giving yourself, you know, for the purpose of a common good, you know, there's common good, common understanding, common goal comes to become less. We look first to ourselves. I think first of myself. I love myself more than anything, and even others, I don't care of them.
Father, what if a young person says, oh, Father, I want to buy an iPhone, I want to marry, I want to build a house. How do I do this without...
I ask you, that young man or young lady who says, I want to buy an iPhone, I want to build a house, I want to marry, I would ask, what is your contribution to that project you're talking of? You know, I want to involve you, because I can't give you always, and you become dependent. How will you manage yourself? You need to be part and parcel of your journey. You need to remember that you need to, like, if I look in you guys who know mathematics, you know, and we have got percentages. In life, there's what we call 100%. But 99.9% is yours as a youth, as an individual. Me as a priest, me as Father James, I've only 0.1% to contribute to you. Because in the end, it's you to fulfill. In the end, it's you to commit. In the end, it's you to journey. I can hold your hand, but I cannot hold your hand always and forever. I know there are some of us, some of my youth, you know, their parents supported them for education. They went to school, they paid their school fees, all the necessary requirements that ever the boy or the girl requested from the parents was always met. When he graduates, or even during the leave time, you know, instead of going for some social work to build his or her capacity, you come and just only stay, and you always go for leisure, you go for a break, take tea at Afex, you go to the pyramids, you go to the new hotel called Radisson Blue, you just go and relax there, hang your legs like this and make kwa, kwa, kwa. And then as your father or your mom who is struggling, after your graduation, still to maintain you, you have been prepared, you have been supported, you have been given all the tools. And then because you say you are unemployed, you don't feel, you wait for employment in the house instead of going out, you know, going out, facing the challenges there. When you want to go out, you say, I don't have transport. I don't have support for water. Mom can support you. Dad can support you. But you need to make an effort beyond that, because the contribution of dad in your life is 0.1. Not more than that, because 99.9 is yours. So I can't buy your iPhone. I can't build you a house. I can't pay your bride wealth. I will ask you, what is your contribution
to that? Yeah, Father, as we kind of usher to talk about the visit of the Pope, I wanted to give few pointers, and because I had discussed this with you before this, few key issues. You lead the Council of Churches. There are so many contentious issues that I told you probably the youth are facing in this country and the church is facing itself. So I'll probably throw them to you at a very fast pace and you can tell me what you think. One of it, I talked to you earlier on. I told you about the institution of marriage and the youth in this country. What do you think about it? It's a bit shaky, eh?
Well, the institution of marriage in our country, let me speak on the context of South Sudan, because if we open it globally, it becomes difficult because every context dictates. So the institution of marriage in our country is under challenge. And it depends on how we understand it. Because we have got our cultural, traditional understanding of marriage, that a man can take more than one woman. Is it so? Yeah, what we call in one word, polygamy, living a polygamous life. But we in the church, we dictate that we say one heart is equal to another heart, not to two hearts. Yeah? So we are going through this challenge. You know, a man goes and get a colleague in the university or in there, blah, blah, blah. They journey together, they decide, they graduate, they make a commitment that we want to get married. Everything is done. They go for teaching in the church or counseling in the church. They prepare themselves. And then the day of marriage is done. They get married, and then people with the colleagues go, with the best ladies, they go and they jump, dance, celebrate, and so forth. Everything goes well. Okay, people start living life, start living the reality. Then as people go forward, this young man, I don't know, he sees another colleague in the place of work, or he sees another, how do you call them? We call them files in our time. You guys, how do you call it today? Yeah, modern girlfriends today. In our time, we refer to our files, Usually, you need to have one file only. But many of today, they open the second file, the third file, and then at times you don't pay reference to it. So you have got your original file, and then you made another photocopy file, you get married, and then another photocopy. So you have 2, 3, 4 women. And at times, the first file might decide, so, no, we had made a commitment, we have made understanding. You are marrying another, so I'm off. So that marriage breaks. Or at times, you even knew that young man, you don't opt that you want to marry, get another marriage, but you become not faithful, You betray your wife. You go for this outing, you go for, how do you call it? You go for journeys. You go for journeys, you get this plane going to Uganda, how do you call it? Tarco, no. Air Uganda. Or you go to, you cannot go to the Middle East because you need certificates. You go to these countries where there's things are lax. You go there with this friend just to knife your wife, I don't know how you see the eyes of this lady that you have gone with. And knowing that your wife is at home there, the pledge you have made, the commitment you have made with her, it makes a pain, but that's the reality. That's creating breakage in marriage today. But some of my friends, my sisters, they just give in to this because the man will start using, no, it's our tradition, it's our we can't rely on one wife, we have to marry other, we need children. What? A woman is not a factory of making children. You need to, because if you look at a woman just for giving birth, no. But here, that's why most of our marriages are in crisis. But some of my sisters, aunts, friends have given up. They just keep silent. So the man does what he does. He goes to the second woman, he goes to the third one, he goes to the fourth one.
Yeah.
And they say, this is our tradition, this is our culture. Oh my God.
So the second point, and also I discussed with this you earlier, peace in this country and the issues of conflict. How does the council see these things? Because it comes to your doorsteps. We had gone through 2 civil wars, and we have pockets of conflicts all over the country. Even here in Juba, just not far, there is still conflict. What is the church's view on this, or how do you view this from your desk?
Let me speak from my experience. In the Council of Church, we have got what they call the Action Plan for Peace. Is a framework that we use in order to journey to change the narrative, to create space for the South Sudanese to talk among themselves and to let South Sudan reconcile. In this Action Plan for Peace, this process took me to many places. And it took me to many parts of South Sudan. I remember one in particular. I was in a place called Chwabet. I don't know whether you know it. Chwabet is in the Lake States of today. But when it was 32 states, it was in Gok. So in Chwabet, when there was this communal violence, the Agar and the Gok had some conflict. I hope these are clans in the Dinka, okay? We have got the Agar clan, then we have the Gok clan. So they had this cattle raid among themselves. In Chwabet, the bishop of the Anglican Church happened to be an Agar, okay? He was appointed bishop there because he worked before there, and therefore he's an Anglican bishop there. The poor guy, when we went there, it was after this, they were still bleeding after the raid, cattle raid, and some people had died, people were killed. So one of the priests with the collar, white collar, with a coat, he happens to be a Gog Dinka, and the bishop is there. So when I talked, before I talked, the bishop talked. This priest became emotioned because the bishop is a churchman, is a holy man, is an Agar, is there to serve the Lord. But this priest, this pastor, saw in this bishop an Agar who cattle raided their place and killed people. So he went, he grabbed the bishop by the neck. The pastor there was 29 years old. Is he a youth or an elder?
He's a youth.
Is he a youth, according to you? Let us see the context. He's a youth, okay? He grabbed the bishop by the neck. He wanted to box him. Then I put my hand. He caught my hand. Then I asked him, what are you doing? Then his eyes opened. He looked at me. He knelt down. He said, I'm sorry. You know, the emotion took him to violence immediately. So in this process of peace, we have grown in this context of no peace. I am born in it. I grew in it. I went to school in it. I was ordained a priest in it. I worked as a priest in it. I'm still working in the context of violence. And even my collar was caught in violence. So it's not easy to come out of this spirit of violence, of vengeance, revenge, to come out from this issue of revenge. And based on this issue of revenge, it's that which is consuming us, you have got all these pockets of intercommunal violence. You attack this, I go and cure my wounds, and then I get strong, then I go. Surprise them, I kill, And all these are South Sudanese killing themselves. And as they kill themselves, we have been killing ourselves recently in Fashoda County. Those white army and the Sholo people there. I don't know South Sudanese? They're South Sudanese. As I speak now, you go to Pibor administrative area. The youth from the Lao Nuer, from Gawar, who went on the march to destroy Gumruk and Lakongwale. These are South Sudanese. Whom do they destroy? South Sudanese. So when I speak of this, it disturbs me. I get pain because, most of these brothers of mine, they are youth, and I try to ask, okay, why are they violent like this? Who is instigating them? Because there should be somebody somewhere. And then creating space in the action plan was for space for conversation, the community to talk among themselves. And I created space in Lakes area, in Tombra, in Wau, in Malakal. We came to discover that there are some of our brothers and sisters here in the capital who create this tension. At times, like now, the tension have gone. You find in one tribe, one clan, we are broken into doors. So I come from this side of this clan, I come from this side, so we knock each other. And most of them, the motivation are political. There is a political motivation that make this youth to become. They don't reflect. They give little to reasoning. Little is given to reasoning. They believe that once I move, I clear. To destroy your enemy, you need to kill him. That's why when we go always to this place of violence after, you find those who are killed are shot in the head. They don't shoot here. They make a point that when they shoot in the head, you are done. Even if they take you to the powerful hospital, you are just a gone thing. So this bitterness, we are too bitter. As young men and women, we are very bitter. And we are being instigated by this, our elder brothers, some of us like me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to apologize on their behalf. I'm sorry for what my brothers and sisters are doing. They sent you some money on these type of things. They call it M-Gurush.
Yeah, mobile money.
Okay? You don't need to go to anywhere. Or you go to this place where you send money to the states, to the Payams, to the boomers with, and you go and pick the money there. Once you have the money in your pocket, you become powerful. And anybody who stands your way, you open your way by killing him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all these pains.
Other two topics also related to the visit of the Pope, which I want your views on, is earlier on when I was talking to you about the Council of Churches, you said you have 7 members and you have how many? 3 affiliates. Yeah. And I mentioned to you a very popular church whom a lot of my friends here frequent. And so many of these churches, they are not your members. The space for practicing religion in this country has really widened. There are a lot of young people who go to churches, who maybe people dance in it with more tempo than in the Catholic Church. There are so many prophets around, and we have some people even go to church on their phones. Some people have daddies who. So when you see all this, and what does your council say about this? How do you accommodate for that in the discussion? Are the young people in a different place and the council is in a different place, or what do you see on that?
The young people are in the council of churches because I've got a youth desk there. So I'm concerned of their faith. I'm concerned of their freedom. I'm concerned of what they want to do. That's why I've got the youth desk. These churches that we have in South Sudan, they come in, they register as, not as churches, but they come like small NGOs for education, for humanitarian delivery, but their faith, they come from a different wing of a church in a particular country. So when they come to us here, they go to the Ministry of Bureau of Religious Affairs. They write application. You are given the covering letter. You pay some money there. Then you take this covering letter to the Ministry of Justice, and then they issue the certificate. There's a certificate for working, and then from there you take the certificate to RRC, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Then you register there, you become part of NGO forum. Okay? You operate, you are an NGO, but you operate as a church. Me, in the Council of Churches, I have no mandate to stop them, okay? Because they have got a document in their hands. It's just like accusing somebody who should have the ID of South Sudan, no? Because there are many people who have got the national certificate of South Sudan. Although technically they are not South Sudanese, but you cannot challenge him. He has got it. He's a South Sudanese. There's evidence. So these my brother churches and sister churches, they have got all these documents that qualifies them to operate in South Sudan. Whether they pray at night, at any time, it's not the security and those who have registered them to talk about. I know they have come, the security have come to us and say, you are in charge of churches, therefore you need to stop this, will not to disturb us from our sleep, not to do this, and so on. Then I told them, why do you only attack these churches who pray at night? Why don't you stop this way of what they call overnight, this thing of the funerals? People go, even the Catholics, they go overnight, the Anglicans go overnight, the Presbyterian, if tomorrow is the last funeral prayer, today people dance the whole night after morning, they go to sleep and then they come for prayers later. So these non-member churches have got all this situation in them, but we cannot say don't do that. Because
if they come tomorrow, they say they want to become members, do you think there is a space for that?
The space is there based on the format. We have got a format, because in any structure, in any society, you need to have some laws that should guide you. For us, all the members in the council, they should believe in the sacrament of baptism, that you baptize in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It can be by immersion, or can be by pouring water on the head. But you say in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then the second is the Apostolic Creed. There, the Catholics recite that, the Anglicans recite. So we are on the same page there. But those, if you give them form, and they say, we don't believe in the Apostolic Creed, we use other creed, you be where you are. You can't be a member of the council. Because it's the basics. It's not a tough thing. It doesn't cost anything. And then you want to trace your background. Okay? Because many people, churches come from somewhere, some come from other countries, like from Nigeria, from Uganda, from the United States. They have the money. And then they come, they get a space, they have money to rent, they have money to buy. Just go to anybody, a plot who is in desperate, you pay how many, $4,000 or $8,000, you get the ownership of the land, of that place. So they buy this place, they build their office, they put a small chapel, they start like that. Then from there they become...
I think it's fair to say they are not your favorites.
No, I don't hate anybody. I don't put this one according to how do you call it?
Can a prophet, if someone is a prophet with the church, can they come and join the council tomorrow?
A prophet is very high. So how can he become with these earthly things? A prophet is above, no? You come and join the earthly institution. No, he cannot. You be up there. We shall watch you on your own. Sorry, this is the thing. I remember Prophet Abraham now is what? He's having a new name. When it came first, I was not in the council. I remember I was told by the late Archbishop Pauline Kudulora. He said, Prophet Abraham came to the council. That was the time when he came very fresh from Cairo. He said, he's a prophet, you want to be a member of the council. So the Archbishop said, my brother, we need to kneel to you because you are a prophet. We are not worthy to be in front of you. So you need to be up. We are only earthly institutions. We are only bishops, we are priests, we are earthly institutions. So you can't be a member of the council because you are a prophet. This is a funny way of answering him. So he went.
So just probably like the final thing that I wanted you to kind of comment on, and then we'll allow for questions. And that's the question of leadership. When the Pope is coming here, prior to this, the Pope had kissed the feet of our leaders. And I asked you earlier, and I asked you, did it work or not? And you gave me a very political answer. And the Pope is invested in this country, and through this, is it Sant'Egidio community, which leading a mediation process with the non-signatory parties, and the Catholic Church is also involved in this. The leadership, what is your view on leadership and kind of resolution of issues in this country?
Well, as long as the leadership only looks at themselves, when you take you as a youth leader or an elder leader, when you look only at yourself, you don't make an impact. You don't make an impact. You need to look at the people. You need to open your hands to the people. But most of our leaders, they look at themselves. I'm satisfied first, then others get satisfied. It's a challenge. The ecumenical visit, you call the Papa, is the apostolic journey of Pope Francis, ecumenical pilgrimage of peace to South Sudan. Okay? We have got 3 people coming. These people, the Pope comes from the Catholic Church, and the Archbishop of Canterbury come from the Anglican Communion. Here we call them Episcopal Church of South Sudan. And then we have got the Moderator of Church of Scotland, who comes from the Presbyterian family. These churches have been apart for centuries, more than 500 years. They have been apart. Since the time of Reformation, they were divided, no? They broke apart. The Church of England or the Anglican took their way, and the Presbyterian in Scotland took their way, and the Catholic Church remained. So it was only for South Sudan. I remember I went first to the Archbishop of Canterbury. I told, because in my work of peace in South Sudan, the Action Plan for Peace, we engage this leadership, whether the president, whether Riek Machar, there were 2 at that time, but now with a lot of many vice presidents, political leaders, parties, we engage them. I remember I engaged them. Even I went after Riek Machar up to South Africa. Yes, in search, because these are members of our churches, and he's one of my faithful. So I went to see him, to ask him, Chairman, what is it? What is that you need in life? The same thing, I met Salva Kiir. I told him, Mr. President, what is it that you need?
Did Chairman tell you what he wanted in life?
But this is just to break into his heart. Because the leadership is in your hand. The fate of people of South Sudan is in your hand. So in all this engagement, even the 2013 conflict could not be if they could have listened to the church. When there was tension, some of the political leadership came. Those who are close, they are all SPLM, by the way. Before we had this SPLM, IO or ASO or other thing, it was only one party. They came, who were ministers even. They came to the Archbishop, Daniel Dengbul. They went to Archbishop Paulino. They went to Bishop Isaiah, Majok Dao. They went to Bishop Arcangelo. They said, brothers, come to our rescue. We are falling apart. Come on to help us. There's this. So the church leaders took that initiative. Okay. After verifying that it's true, they met the president, they met the vice president, they met those senior ministers. These people said they have no problem. Can you imagine? They said they have no problem. So let the church leaders tell the people of South Sudan there's no problem. Not only it ended there. Then when there was the SPLM Liberation Council meeting in Nyakurun, on the 14th of December of December 2013. Then then the second day was 15th. At the opening, they invited the church, okay, just for the opening. So then after that, after the first session, then they go to discuss commerce and details of the SPLM and other things. The church leadership there realized that these people came there, they are very tense, When somebody is tense, you don't calm him down, will explode. The Archbishop Paulino talked. He said, I see in you, leaders gathered here, tension and suspiciousness. Why don't you postpone this council and go and meet small groups? Because there's political bureau, there's liberation councils, what. Meet us SPL so that you sort this small issues out. Don't bring it in public. Here we have got media, we have the cameras and so on. It was who? they responded to the church leaders that we have no problem. They talked very clearly. So the church felt betrayed and ashamed and said, okay, thank you. If you have no problem, go ahead. What happened the next day? You heard it? So that was where the conflict started. So our brothers and sisters in the leadership today, I wish they could listen. So I went to the Archbishop of Canterbury to advocate to him. I said, Your Grace, give me a hand. I was begging him. I said, give me a hand. Because the situation in South Sudan is tense. If you can help us, it was already during the war. If you can come and because all these leaders are Christians. And then once your moral support. The Archbishop of Canterbury said yes. But I explained and said, I want you, the Pope and the Presbyterian Church. He said, okay, he has no problem. Even what day we shall finish, he will change his program. Then from London, I went to Edinburgh in Scotland to meet the moderator of the Church of Scotland. We had 2 hours talks with him. I was advocating this advocacy just to create that synergies of reaching out. I said, we have got they support the Presbyterian Church in South Sudan. They give a lot to the Presbyterian Church in South Sudan. I said, guide us, help us. Because even like the first vice president is an elder in the Presbyterian Church. So he accepted. Then the last point was to come to Rome. I came to Rome. Rome was not difficult in the sense because I worked there in the Vatican, so I know how to maneuver there. So I came to Rome. I met first the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was the Secretary of Foreign Relations, Archbishop Gallagher. I talked to him. The first time he said, I need to have a good time with him so that he understands. So he told me to come the next day. So we talked for 3 hours. I was explaining all the context of South Sudan, how we can make things to move, how they can help us. I say you can help us with prayers, but it's not enough. We need this moral voice that should push these brothers and sisters who are in leadership. So he understood. Then he said, okay, we'll make an appointment with the Secretary of State, the one who came to Juba, Pietro Parolin. So I went. I had to explain again. Then Parolin said, okay, if that's the case, he will talk to the Holy Father. But I told them they had to reach out. I said the same thing I'm doing with them, I did with the leadership of the Anglican Church in London and the Presbyterian there. So these
and
are
you told them those guys are already in.
Yeah, they are already, but you are done now to connect among yourself.
Yeah.
So they started communicating, and as they communicated, they informed me. But I didn't inform the church leaders because most of them with the trauma of all this violence, this conflict, and all the time they have been talking this one, they disowned them. They said there's no problem. So once the thing was ripe, we have a board meeting. I told them, I said, there's this process this way. There's going to be a letter coming from the Holy See for the retreat in the Vatican. The retreat is for the political leaders of the country, leadership, and then you, church leaders. And then he said, what's the evidence? Archbishop Paulino couldn't believe. So he believed only when the letter from the Vatican reached him. He got, and then that for the president, Salva Kiir, and other leadership, because that time Riek Machar was not in Juba. He was out. So it was the embassy of the Vatican in Khartoum to reach him the letter. And then it was here, the embassy of, there was no embassy here, but it was the nuncio in Nairobi in charge. So he came there with the letter to the president. And then other vice presidents who were there. So the process started. In the end, they accepted. We went to Rome for that retreat. And it was during the retreat. There was no bodyguard, okay? It was in Santa Marta in the Vatican. All the office managers, bodyguards, who again, do we have drivers? No. It was Salva Kiir alone. And it was Riek Machar alone, Tabandeng alone, and Rebecca Nyandeng alone. Waniga was left in Juba as a guard to keep the home. So these people came. I was standing there while receiving them as they came. When the president came last, this guy called Sebit Bulan,
Yeah,
Yes.
the protocol.
Yeah, chief of protocol. They picked the bag of the president from the bag there, and they wanted to go in. I said, no, put it down there. So they put it down there, and then I say, you step behind. They stepped behind. Then from there, the Swiss guard took it. And then they said, who will help the president? I said, no. When you go to heaven, you don't go with somebody. So I told the president, you'll be only with the Pope and those church leaders that you know inside here. You'll be eating together. There'll be automatic bell that rings in your room. And if you have got some health situation, it's just a matter of just throwing your hand on the pillow. It will ring to us down, and we shall take care of that. We shall reach your room. So, yeah.
Vatican is like Radisson Blue. It's very...
No, you don't compare to Radisson. Vatican is not Radisson Blue. Radisson Blue, you go for chicks there and so on. Santa Marta is something else. It's where the Holy Father stays.
It's a different place.
It's like a hotel. In the simple language, you say it's like a hotel.
Okay.
Or it's like what we call apartment. Okay. It was built to host cardinals who come to visit the Pope in Rome. It was built by Pope John Paul II. So from there, 2 days, the first day, the 10th, and then the second day, the 11th, it was when they were all brought together. But all the first day, you know, it's just like we have gathered here. And then you find the Pope coming holding your hand. Salva, please come, we go. He speaks some English, but not very strong. So they walk around in the corridors there. If he needs translation, they put something on their ears. Because we have given them all these things. We gave them the machine for translation. I told the president to keep in his pocket. And then the small thing, when there's a meeting, he just puts in your ear. It's not like the head cuffs, no. They're very small, you put there. You talk, if he talks in Arabic or in English, we are behind there translating into Arabic to him or into the language he wants to know. The same thing, when he talks, we translate to the Pope. So it is simultaneous training. When they walk, you think that there's somebody behind. We are not there and there. So the thing when the second day, it was when the Pope addressed them. And even I never expected that he was going to kiss them. He said, accompany me. So he started walking, going towards Salva Kiir. Then from there, he held the hand of his assistant, kneeling down to kiss. Salva Kiir was shocked. He was shivering, you know, because somebody white cassock, an old man coming to kiss your foot. Then for him, was it a curse or a blessing? So that thing happened there. He kissed all the legs of those political leaders there. And I remember Bishop Isaiah said, if he was to come towards him, he was done to kiss his feet, not the Pope kissing his feet. Yeah. So the thing happened. And then they made a lot of commitments, this leadership. I remember Taban Deng said he's a born again. You know, a born again. And then the president said, never again it will take people of South Sudan to war. And even Riek Machar also said his. And based on this commitment that they made, individually, personally, not in the public, talking with the Pope with the moderator church, they made some commitment. And then these leaders said, we shall come to visit you in the country together. We shall come on pilgrimage to visit you at home. Now we are outside home, we shall come. So this time is coming now.
This is a very beautiful thing to happen, right?
Yes, of course.
How do you feel like about yourself? You start from Yei, moving to seminary.
I'm not
doing work, and then like going to a landmine and all this, and then here you are at the center of the most crucial high-level church in South Sudan. How do you feel about that?
My feeling is positive. My feeling is that I am not worthy, but I just want peace for this country. I want peace for this country. I want this violence to end with me. I want the violence to end with me. Yeah. Or my age group, the violence should end with us. The future generation should not live into this chaos. So that's why I work tirelessly. If it means reaching out, I remember even I went up to President Trump the President of the United States. I met him in, in the White House. And I met President Obama in Nairobi when he came to. So it's all because of this love of peace for this country. I go everywhere. And I thank God, when to travel, there's this visa issue and so on. Things are just opening,
It's very easy.
It's opening. As I go, it opens. So as these global leaders are coming for this pilgrimage to South Sudan, my hope is that these are churches that have been separated apart for more than 500 years. Today they have opted to come together as pilgrims to South Sudan for peace, for the people of South Sudan. So I want to believe that there will be some impact. First, on the political leadership, because they met them, their legs were kissed in Rome, and then they are coming out to their home. When somebody's coming to your home, I don't know, how do you feel? You need to do whatever you can do. If it's a ngete, if it's what type of food, if it's janjaro, like if he comes to us in the POC, we shall give him janjaro. Or if we go to Malakali, we shall give him wakel. This food of the shuluk. So the issue is we shall give him whatever we have. What matters is how do we receive him, not socially, in our hearts, how do we receive them? What I'm striving for is transformation. That's change of heart and mind. We need to look at the people rather than looking at ourselves.
Thank you so much. I will open it up for a few questions. This has been this has been very emotional. I think, Father, I need to teach you something about like gang bragging. About if you meet like those things, you take selfie with Obama, with this, so that when people say like, "Yo, Father," you're like, "Hey, calm down." So we'll take questions. Noel, I don't know how is it going to happen. So we have this mic. So you can just raise your hand, you say your name, and then your question. I can see there is a hand here. I'll start from Animu, then we'll take a few questions, and then Father can answer those questions. Don't ask him about his file.
My file I already closed.
Thank you very much, Nelson, and thank you, Father James Oyet. Your story is very inspirational. I just really wanted to maybe ask more on the Pope's visit. The Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the moderator of the Presbyterian Church are the leaders of these churches globally. So essentially, we are having the presidents or, the most powerful people in the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church and the Presbyterian Church all converging in South Sudan at the same time. So I imagine this must have been a logistical nightmare of sorts. So I wanted you maybe for us to appreciate what this means. What did it take? How many archdioceses in Africa did you have to reach out to be able to support? Because there are not many people here. Like, how many people have to come? We've seen that people are doing pilgrimages from Rumbek, from other places. How did you have to coordinate that as the Council of Churches? Did you get some support? I know that the government has a secretariat as well, but the church is involved. The church is sort of leading this. I just sort of wanted to be able to understand that so that we can be able to appreciate this level of organization and maybe also be able to determine what this would mean for young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Animo, for this question. The logistical support, the logistics of this preparation, for me it was not a big thing. It is just an issue of emails and so on. Since the Pope comes with this entourage, with his sponsors is coming, The Archbishop of Canterbury sponsors is coming. And the moderator of church is called a sponsor is coming. So I'm not bad with the logistical support. And the Archbishop of Canterbury and the moderator church of Scotland where's the ECS Cathedral? There's a guest house there, somewhere there, okay? The house is under construction. They're going to be there. Although it's not complete, they'll be there. The Archbishop of Canterbury and then the moderator church of Scotland, they'll be there. The Holy Father will be in Tomping. There's a small house, even what you have here is very big, this. And the proposal was that the president said, this is his vista, he has to prepare him a good room, a good place. And this good place before Resident Blue was Pyramid. Then the Holy Father said, Mr. President, I have got a small house in Juba, a small house. I'll go and stay in my house. If it is poor, how is mine? I'll stay there. Just to give the message that your house is your house. Whether there's water, whether there's no water, whether you don't have poor toilet, it's your house. You can't transfer to go and stay in the hotel. So the Pope opted to stay in his house in Tomping there. But the government, the country, decided to put right the road, the road to Tomping. I don't know those of you who cross from there. There's a lot of blockage around there. We are sorry because I have to go up to the road to board to ask Benjamin Bolmel to bring this machinery backwards to do this work. So they are doing this work, and the house is genuine. There's a bathroom, there's a bed, there's a normal mattress, there's a Lembusia mosquito net. So for some mosquitoes of South Sudan. So that's where the Pope will be. So the point is, they are coming. What we have been trying to do is the visibility part, visibility. Because if you ask so many South Sudanese, up to about 2 weeks ago, the visibility was, it was only when I started putting the billboards. And these billboards and this visibility sign was more sponsored by the specialized ministries. Who are the specialized ministries in the Ecumenical Church? These are the partner organizations, church organizations like the NCA, DCA, CRS. These are church organizations. CRS is the development wing of the Catholic Bishops of the United States. NCA is the development wing of the Church of Norway. And then DCA is the development wing of the church in Denmark. And so forth, Queen Church 8 of that of Finland. So this is a church thing. We call them special ministers in the language of ecumenicism. So these churches, these organizations have given mandate to support the local church in receiving this global leadership. That's why they are supporting the visibility. There will be some radio talk shows. There'll be, South Sudanese needs always to be moved, like the youth who are going for singing practice, You want me, I should pay you to go to sing. I pay you going, I pay you going back. Anyway, these are all the things. So the logistics is heavy on me because of my brothers and sisters from South Sudan. They want always to be motivated. They want always to be pushed. There's that.
What do you think about the faithfuls in the states? Like there are people who are working a pilgrimage. Are there people who are coming from all these states?
Yes,
with
yes.
a cow
yes.
to give the Pope or something?
I don't know whether with the cow. I know from Rumbek. They are on the road walking. They're walking.
I think the Rumbek people are hard on both sides.
They are coming on foot.
Yeah.
They started on Sunday the 8th.
Ah.
They don't walk to reach Juba immediately. They walk, they stop. It's just like a peace pilgrimage within the Lake State. They came from Rumbek, they stopped in the first village, they spent the night there, they prayed there, then the next day they moved to the next village, just like that, they come up to Terekeka and proceed, coming through all these villages of the Mundare, to come to the Bari one, and then up to Juba.
This is a very beautiful thing. It is really nice just to see that.
Just to inform you, majority in those coming on foot are youth.
Wow, thank you. Okay, I'll take a question here. I think there's a hand there.
Just before he asks the question, so we have got these countries in Uganda. We've got Uganda Joint Christian Council. In Kenya, we've got NCCK, the Council of Kenya. Then we have got the African Conference of Churches. We have got FECLAHA. We have got Arigatu. These are organizations that support the church in South Sudan to journey towards peaceful end. The same thing in Ethiopia. Ethiopia, in spite of their own situation, they try to extend their hands to support the people in South Sudan. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Father, for the opportunity. My name is David Knight. I got a few questions that I will be precise in asking. The first question is regarding the visit of His Holiness. A few years ago, the late leader of the SCOAN, Synagogue of All Church Nations, TB Joshua, came into the country, and there were commitments actually that were made by our leaders. And I think after some times, we saw that there was some sense of peace holding at some point. Now with the coming of His Holiness, the Pope, and the Bishop of Canterbury, and that one of Edinburgh, how much more will their influence actually have on peace getting hold in South Sudan? That's a question. The second one is you told us about the boy or that young man who fixed the landmine, made you actually to get fracture. You got that hard that you forgave him. How much more as the youth in South Sudan that we need to really learn from your experience, especially those of us who are gathered here and who have listened to your story? Thank you.
Thank you. Let me start from the visit, the pilgrimage of peace to South Sudan. You know, many people came to South Sudan, even TB Joshua came, and all with the message of peace. And I was following what he was saying. He was using most of our languages of peace. And now, the Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the Moderator of the Church of Scotland, they are coming in pilgrimage of peace to South Sudan. In spite of the Pope kissing the feet of this global leadership, of this political leadership of South Sudan, they are coming to visit them at their homes. And according to many South Sudanese, and the narrative is that the kissing of their feet never made an impact on this leadership. Although I remember Tabandeng said he's a born-again guy. And I remember President Kiir said we'll never take this country back to war, even if it costs him compromising on key issues. And then Rebecca Nyandeng talked of working together for peace. But since they formed, after that retreat, after the kissing of their feet, they formed the government 9 months after. The government was formed in February. Riek Machar came to Juba, and he was sworn in, and a lot of things. Well, in generally, our expectation was not to the full. There's always a saying that a glass of water, if it is full, it's a glass of water. If it's half, it's a glass of water. It can quench the thirst according to the percentage. If you put in percentage, they have done something a little but not complete. Some, they formed a government and so on. They are dragging backwards now until they have to extend the period of time. So there are a lot of challenges. And then also, as you see, the conflict is from the towns, from the center here, it has gone to the periphery, where you get conflict in Malakal, in Piwara administrative area, in Tombra, in Lake States, in Warap. I went there walking just only to understand, just to find out what is it. When you ask the people there, they said no. So my hope, my hope is that this pilgrimage of peace will be a time for transformation, that to show that we can show that reconciliation and forgiveness is possible. And my other hope is that relationship that have been fractured can be restored. I wanted this transformation of this revenge spirit, that these people, when they come, I don't think the Catholic Church revenge against the Anglicans. I don't think the Anglicans revenge against Presbyterians from Scotland, and to the point that they are one kingdom in the UK. And the Holy Father went, these predecessors like Pope John Paul II went to England and met the Queen, the head of the Anglican Church. And Pope Benedict, who passed on recently, went even to UK, met the Queen, and he prayed there. So there's this openness of these churches towards each other. So they are coming together in unity. I wanted to impact on the people of South Sudan that all these differences can be transformed. I want the spirit of South Sudanese. South Sudanese, they can fight But when there's funeral, they're always together. They cry together. This spirit, if I wish, could be a reality. A reality. This is that about that situation of the coming of the Pope. We want to believe that there should be some transformation, some change. It's not a quick fix. After years of bitterness. Remember President Kiir in Qatar on Christmas, he said he has forgiven Riek Machar. Do you remember? You guys have heard it.
Yeah, we heard it.
You heard it, eh? He repeated it. He has forgiven Riek Machar. So I believe that from his lips, what was coming in his mouth was coming from his heart. And I want to believe that because he said it publicly.
Let me ask you, when you said other people made a commitment, this one say, I will not go to war again, we will work for peace. Apart from saying he's born again, did he give other commitments?
That's what he is. He privately gave other commitments. That's what he gave in the media. Yeah. So to the second question of his, about forgiving, youth forgiving each other, I don't know what I can say. I just say my example because I felt the pain myself. It's one thing having somebody feeling the pain and somebody else to forgive, but it's you living in that pain. The leg paining, hanging there, and then somebody comes and said, "I was the one who did that thing." It takes a bit of challenge, and then if you don't give some reasoning capacity to yourself to say, "Okay, I'm in pain physically. Why should I add that pain in my heart? That will hinder my cure, because my psychology needs to be calm in order to get cured." So youth, I know you guys, if you ask a youth, what's your name? They'll say, "My name is Nelson." "From where are you?" "I'm from South Sudan." "South Sudan, which state? Which county, which Payam?" You go to details. Instead of just stopping there, nationalists respond, "I am a South Sudanese." Karibu.
Father, okay, there is one question from Oboto Motivated, then we can conclude. Can you come a bit closer? Can you come to the light? And then we can conclude with that. He was actually telling me that he's a gospel singer, and he's been telling me that.
Let him say whether he's a gospel singer.
Let him say whether he's born again also.
Yeah, I want to hear from him. Yes, my friend. Are you the friend of Jesus?
Good evening, Father. It's nice meeting you. My friend Naomi Joan, that works with you at the office, has been telling me a lot about you.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure to meet you today. My name is Samuel Kwal Daniel, also known as Maboto Motivated. I'm a gospel artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do a lot of Christian songs. So I have one question. Here in South Sudan, we have a culture of bringing a lot of military things to so many stuff. And I remember a few months ago when the colleague of the Pope came, there was a lot of deployment everywhere. There was a lot of military and all those kind of things. And I believe these kind of things, they scare away Christians because people fear when they see heavy deployment of taksharat everywhere and stuff like that. I remember even the roundabout at 7 Day was blocked when the colleague for the Pope was at John Garang Museum. So I don't know what the plan is this time around, and I wanted to hear from you. What is the plan looking like this time around? Is it the same thing or what's happening? Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. This is a security question. The touchers and so on. It is true, the Pope comes as the head of state, and then the narrative outside there, outside in the global world, that South Sudan is not a place to live in. South Sudan is very violent. South Sudan, you need to be in your home before. There's what they call curfew, These are international partners follow this culture of curfew. There's no curfew imposed by the government, but you impose the curfew on yourself because of the fear of insecurity, the fear of being stopped, and so on. And even as you drive in Juba these days, you get people in places, You get people checkpoints at night. They're not supposed to check. They're just to be where they are and to let the flow of the So based on this, the Pope comes as the head of state, and then the government in South Sudan wants to give that they can guarantee security. The security is not to stop you, but it's to let you move freely. I remember I told in the security meeting, I told them, I said, I would want to believe, I don't want to see the military things. We want to see only police. Police is a part of the civilian population. They work with the civilians. So although sometimes some police are camouflage, but what matters is that there will be police, my brother, just for the security. Because there will be somebody who will go take some makway. You know what's makway? This small bottle, red cap, some alcohol. You will take extra. And when you take extra, then you lose the capacity of reasoning. What you do? You just attack anybody. I remember some young men in that road from St. Isidro going to Mauna, that road there. Those young men were there, they were all tipsy, holding bottles, small bottles. I thought it was Asir. It wasn't Asir. They were all drunk. And then anybody passing there, they were attacking. Then when I opened the glass of my car, I said, what's your problem? God, malish. Sorry. So they just ran away. So I don't know. I told them, this type of situation can happen, where people gather in one place. Human beings are always human beings. There'll be a human being who will have the capacity of reasoning and respect. There'll be a human being who will have no capacity of that. So that's why you have capacity police around, just to keep the security, so that they don't accuse us outside there that we are violent, even when a visitor comes to our home.
Father James Oyet, thank you for coming for an evening.
Thank you.
It's such a delight having you here. Thank you, everyone, for really taking your valuable time and being here. Father has shown he was here. He's a proper Catholic priest. He was here by 4 at the time that is supposed to start, and he kept the discipline. And he really thank you so much for dedicating your time and the opportunity for us here.
Thank you. You youth, as we conclude this, remember this pilgrimage is for us South Sudanese and all those who are in South Sudan. Non-South Sudanese and South Sudan in South Sudan, the pilgrimage is for us because all of us need peace. So you are called to come and participate, whether in the reception, in the airport, along the street, whether in the All Saints Cathedral here or in the Cathedral of Qatar, whether in the Presbyterian Church, and then also in the Mausoleum of John Garang during the prayers, ecumenical prayer, and also during the Mass on Sunday. So you need to demonstrate that you have a space of peace in your heart by participating. And then take away hate and revenge from your hearts. I want to appeal to all the youth. Hate and revenge will take you nowhere. It will just kill you. Away with hate, away with revenge. Make South Sudan be a better place, and you can change that. Thank you.